Greetings, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to say greetings to you all. Thank you for being here. Let's see who is in the house. I see Mama Sania. Welcome, Mama Sania. Welcome, Linda. Welcome, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. We are almost home back to Mississippi. We were in Georgia this week, so I'm on the road, but I'm
Awesome, awesome. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Drive safe. Grateful you'll be able to join us. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Hi, Mama Sania. How you doing? Let's see. Uh-oh, you're muted.
Oh, unmute. Okay. They say you muted me. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Glad to be here. How's everyone?
Great, great. Glad you're here too. Glad you're here too. Thank you. Nikenji, long time no see. Hey, Nikenji, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So glad that you're here. Welcome.
Yes.
Wow, what a treat.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, we are going to get started. So if everyone can mute themselves, and we're going to ask those who are coming to mute themselves as well. And we're going to get started because we have a lot of things to talk about in a little bit of time. And I want to honor your energy and honor your presence here. So let's get started first with just grounding ourselves. If you can, wherever you are, we can sit down. If you need to put the phone down, I know some of you are driving, so definitely be vigilant on that. We just want to ground our hearts in the medicine that we're going to receive this afternoon and allow and open our hearts as well so that we can really, really tap into the wisdom of our ancestors and the wisdom of healing that's here for us. So wherever you are, if you can just relax yourself and just take a few deep breaths, inhaling in through your nose and out through your mouth. Again, inhaling deeply in through your nose and out through your mouth. And we're going to start by invocation, by calling in the great spirits to be of guidance and support to us on this journey. I'd like to give honor and thanks to our most elevated, evolved ancestors, our guides, our teachers, of course, the creator of the universe. We are so grateful for you. We are thankful for the wisdom that you have given us to help us to live our life in grace and abundance and ease and goodness with good health, happiness, and prosperity. For truly, that is our birthright. And as we come together to talk about the things concerning grief, we ask that your spirit, your love, your wisdom be in the middle of our conversation, and that everyone that's coming to listen to this topic, and even those who will listen to the replay, I ask that you will minister grace and love and ease to them, that your words and your presence will be like a balm to their soul. And we want to say thank you for each and every person listening here. We honor each and every person that's here, and we say thank you in advance for the medicine. Ashe, Aibobo, Aho, Amen, and so shall it be. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you everyone for being here tonight. Welcome, Darlene, good to see you here. So grateful you are here. Tonight, we're going to speak about something that is quite interesting. And the reason, as I was, meditating as to what we should chat about tonight, this kept coming up. Particularly, I have been going through the process of grief, and so many others have been as well. And so we want to talk about what ways we can use our indigenous wisdom of our ancestors to start the process of lightening the burden of grief. Because what we realize, grief is an ongoing process. Grief is a process that some people never fully in their lifetime completely transform from, but it is a process, and our ancestors and our guides have given us some remedies and things that we can do. And I'd like to share those things with you. So I want to give the premise of the grief as we see in our perspective. Grief for us is simply a way, a process rather, that isn't linear. So it's not like you, one day you just go straight up until grieving to not grieving. It's very much a complicated, up and down, round and multifaceted topic. For each person, it looks very differently. Of course, there is no timeline in how long a person should be grieving or how long or how little. It just depends on the journey, right? So also, you should also keep in mind that everyone experiences grief differently. Everyone sees grief differently. Everyone goes through the process very differently. Of course, you all know we have our own ways that it manifests. So for us, the rituals and ceremonies that we engage in is to help to ease the burden of grief, help to lighten the load of grief, help us to understand the gift, and it can be a gift that grief can bring us, should we decide to engage it in that way. So I want to talk about different forms of grief and how it shows up, because a lot of times we think of grief as um, grief in a sense that, oh, there's a loved one that has transitioned. Of course, that's the most common, and sometimes that feels the most personal. But there are other forms of grief that I want to bring to your attention. In our culture, we see, of course, the loss, quote unquote, loss of a loved one. We're going to talk about loss in a minute. The loss of a dream, a vision. Maybe you had a vision that you would be a doctor one day, and that never really happened. And somewhere in your auric field, there's some grief there. A loss of a relationship. It could be a friendship. It could be a co-worker relationship. It can be a relationship with a pet. Simple as a pet can also cause grief. Loss or a change in jobs, whether it be voluntary or involuntary.
Oh,
We also, yes, if you can mute yourself unless you have a question, that would be great. Thank you. Yes, a loss of a home. If you move from one place to another, for example, I'm an expat. I lost my home in a hurricane suddenly, so that caused a lot of grief, and it still is a grief for me. So a loss of a home, a vehicle, loss of your health or vitality, or as you see something that's really significant to you and a loss of that, a loss of a business or a quote unquote failed business, loss of any possessions that you had and held dear to your heart. I'm going to talk a little bit more details about laws in terms of laws in children in the case of a miscarriage and abortion, because those things carry particular different implication as it relates to grief. And also maybe loss of an organ. Maybe you had a gallbladder taken out or a tonsil or something like that. It may not register consciously as a grief, but your body, your inner child and your inner self may be grieving that. So, and these are some ways we see that grief can show up. The most recent one for a lot of people around the world was COVID. COVID changed the way a lot of us lived and saw our lives and our humanity. So I know a lot of my clients, they talk about the pre-COVID versus the post-COVID life and the differences in between the two. That's a loss. That's a trauma. And that too, we are collectively grieving, and many of us on an individual level are grieving that as well. So in our ancestral view, we understand that energy is neither created or destroyed. I know many of you have probably heard that, like, energy is no created or destroyed. And so when we feel in the physical realm, as our elders have taught us, a loss, we know that it's just transformed into another energy form that we can start to connect to in a different way. So basically the relationship we have with that person, the place or thing, can start to change. And that's how we start to conceptualize grief. And that's how we work through grief with ritual and ceremony. And I'll talk a little bit about ritual and ceremony and different things that we do. And I'm going to show you something that you can do right now to help you work through grief, unresolved grief. It doesn't require elaborate rituals. It doesn't require a lot of money. It doesn't require all of those things. In our culture, things are very simple and intention led. So I'm going to teach you a ritual you can do, if we have time, maybe two, or you have questions, to help you work through grief. Another form of grief that's very common is after we have children, however, with cesarean or natural, it doesn't matter. There is a time they call postpartum, but it's also grief that's in there, right? Grieving who you were before you became a mother, either for the first time, second, third, or fourth. There's a transition there. There's a loss of identity, a loss of the way things were. And now you have a new schedule, you have person, everyone in the family is different. So that comes with the element of grief as well. The important part about mentioning all of these parts, because sometimes we don't realize in areas in which we are grieving. We don't realize it. We think sometimes it's just a loved one, or sometimes it's just maybe a hurricane, in my case, destroyed my house, my business. It's just that. But when our lives change significantly due to a significant loss, no matter how we frame it, that can definitely lead to a period of grief. So we want to give ourselves grace. We want to give ourselves ease. As I mentioned, there's no time frame on grief. There's no particular regimen. Sometimes it doesn't completely go away. We learn to listen to the medicine that it has for us. We learn to listen to, okay, what can I learn? What can I take away? What can help me in this? One of the purposes of grief in our tradition and our culture is that grief and grieving brings us closer to the spirit realm. What do I mean by that? Since our relationship have changed with the person or place and thing, with them no longer physically being the way it was, it kind of calls us into a particular space where we have to connect where we may choose to rather connect in a deeper way. And that may be through prayer. It may be through ancestral work, because sooner or later, we all are going to make our transition to another form. And as we start to engage our loved ones who are on the other side, or the ideas that have transitioned, it starts to elevate our own consciousness and starts to develop a form of spiritual communication that can be very beneficial in our life at this time. I want to share with you that the reason why we do ritual and ceremony as it relates to grief and those things that have transitioned, because it helps to complete the cycle of the relationship we've been in with that person. The cycle, sometimes we may feel of suffering after the person has left and not having them close to us. It helps us to close out the energetically that relationship so we can start a new relationship. One of the rituals we do, which I will share with you how to do in Jamaica and other places around the world, is called a 9-night. That is 9 nights, 9 nights. And 9 nights is a time that's dedicated 9 nights of celebration of the relationship that you had with the person, place, or thing. The reason why we do that is because as they're being sent off from this realm to the next, we want to send them off in a celebratory way, giving honor and gratitude for how they've impacted our lives, the lessons that we learned, and all of the beautiful and benevolent things that have come through that relationship. It is a 9-night process that we do for anyone that has transitioned, including children. And what it does, it allows that energy and that relationship to be reconciled. And so that person, place, or thing can be properly placed in the spirit realm. And then you can have the peace and the joy and the contentment and the comfort that comes from a celebratory event. I'm going to show you how to do a 9-night before this talk is over, so that you can start to use the tool to elevate your process of healing and moving forward. So that's one of the things. It's very, very helpful. I find that the ceremonies and rituals that we do are also grounding, helps to ground our energy. It helps us to find comfort. It gives us an opportunity to either heal our trauma, and we can talk about that in a little while. It offers mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Our ancestors knew that grief is definitely a natural part of life, that's just as birth is, and that ritual and ceremonies are required at both for a healthy transition, both in the beginning or at the end of something. So the gift that comes with us, that allows us, again, to reconnect ourselves to that person, place, or thing on another level, on a spiritual realm, which can also bring a lot of spiritual blessings as well. So I'm going to pause here because I've been chatting a little bit, and we have some new people that joined us, mainly Darlene and Natasha. Thank you all for being here. So I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions about anything I mentioned, or if anyone wants to share anything.
Yes, we have a question over here.
Yes.
That's a question.
Hey, I was wondering, like, just listening, is there like, does this just particularly pertain to like, I know you said it pertains to a few different things, but I know you just spoke about like a loved one transition. And what about if it was just a regular relationship, but no one necessarily transitioned? It just kind of ended, could you do this particular ritual for something like that as well?
Great question. So the question was if you could you do a type of ritual, not so much for if someone had transitioned, but if a relationship have ended. And to answer your question, absolutely. If anything ends in your life, like you mentioned, a relationship, a job, you move from one house to another, one state to another, one country to another, anything that's ending, you would always want to do some type of ritual or ceremony to do two things. Number one, to close out that cycle of that experience, right? And in closing out that cycle, you also open up the opportunity for you to free up your energy to open yourself up to the next thing that wants to come to you, the next relationship, the next job opportunity, the next house. And so these things are really important. So absolutely, I would highly recommend whenever there's a beginning and an ending of something in your life, you do some type of ritual. And it doesn't have to be elaborate, because I'm going to show you some things that are not super elaborate, but are really, really effective. Because what happens is the psyche needs something to say, okay, this is, even if it's on a subconscious level, this is a quote unquote end, although there's no real end, right? But the mind needs something to say, okay, let's close this out. Okay, now this energy is reconciled. Now let's open this up. And now the energy, your energy is fresh and ready to be engaged in the next thing. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it made perfect sense. Thank you.
Oh, yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, so I'm going to share with you for those of you here that have had or know someone that have had children away either through a miscarriage and that um, what can tend to happen, although sometimes there's funeral services and things like that, what can actually tend to happen is that when a child, for example, in the case of an abortion, and the mother or the family does not go back and sort of reconcile that energy through a ritual that's then in this ritual, the premise is, okay, we understand for whatever reason you didn't come to term, we love you, we care for you, you're still part of our family, we want to send you into the light. We want to send the energy into the light. In a case of miscarriage and abortion, or even like tragic death, we do special rituals so that that energy does not come back and kind of cause an equilibrium in the family. A lot of times when we do our work here, Linda can attest because, and Kiara, they've come for our retreats. They see that when we do our egg cleansing, a lot of times those children who have been aborted, even if the mother has aborted before they had you, that energy can still be interfering in with your life. Basically, the reason why the interference is happening because that energy is just trying to get someone's attention to say, hey, I need help crossing over. Hey, can you please remember me? I need help to be remembered and I need help crossing over. I will be the first one to say I have gone through that process, and it can look different from each person. One of the ways to know if this energy it hasn't been completely cleared out is to do a cleansing. Do an egg cleansing because you can see it in the egg cleansing. Or if you know, for example, that you've had an abortion or there's a miscarriage that's happened, it's great to just do the ritual for good spiritual hygiene. A lot of times that energy will come back and the relationships aren't well. The mother is suffering in her mental health, her emotional health, and her physical health. She's doing all of the things, taking all of the vitamins and doing all of the protocols, but things are not getting better. We'll see this in families with like quote unquote generational things. And so it's always good to just check if you're working with someone or you yourself have tried many different modalities to heal your womb or heal things in your life, dealing with root chakra, reproductive things. And if it's not clearing up, that's another ritual we can do to help the energetically grieve that spirit so they can go into the light. And when they go into the light, they're happy and fulfilled. And guess what? You are free to. And then you can start a new relationship with that energy. And that energy can actually be a guide, can be a guardian angel to support you on your journey. This is why it is so important that we engage in ritual and ceremony for ourselves on a regular basis. Are there any questions?
No.
No? Okay. If you have someone or that has passed away tragically or violently, you also want to do something like the 9 night for them. A lot of times those energies have a hard time crossing over to the other side, and they may come similar to the aborted child, the child that was miscarried, come and cause a little bit of havoc to get our attention to ask for help in crossing over. So that's just something to keep in mind. Or if it was a very violent situation, you want to also engage in some rituals I'm going to teach you so that you can have the freedom and the peace to live your life in love, grace, and ease. Okay. So I want to take a few moments I'm going to talk about some herbs in a minute that can help us ease the process of grief and ease the burden of grief. But before that, I want us to take a second to look at actually some ways that we can help heal from grief. All right. So if you have someone that has transitioned and you want to honor that energy and help them to go into the light and strengthen your relationship with them, you can do your own personal night-night at home. It's very, very, very simple. You want to set up a basic altar. Basic altar, it can be water, a clean table with a white tablecloth, water, a plant, and a candle, and a photo. That is it. I know people have elaborate altars with this and this. Baby, you don't need all that. You just need the basics and your intention, right? So you're gonna set up your altar however you want to arrange it, wherever you want to put your candle, wherever you want to put your water, your bowl of water, your plant, and your photo, however it feels good for you. And you want to do this at a time where you're most relaxed, a time where you feel at ease, a time where you feel supported and you're just not distracted. And you're going to do this for 9 nights. Can't miss. So if you know you got a big project, wait for your project's over. Or if you can do it before, you don't want to miss this. And so you want to write down your intentions for this ritual. You want to write down your intentions for why you want to do it. You want to connect deeper. You want to send love, whatever it is, you want to write it down on a piece of paper. And then you want to set up your altar and decide on a time for 9 nights. Now it's a commitment. It's a commitment for 9 nights. What time you want to meet your ancestor. So if 8:00 p.m. is the best time for you, that's when you want to do it. If it's 3:00 in the morning, that's when you want to do it. You just want to do it at a time that is best for you. So the first thing you want to do is you have your table altar set up and you want to have a book like this, a book, all right? Your book. And on this book, you're going to have your ancestors' photo, a glass of water, and a candle. And at whatever time you decide, you're going to sit at the altar for about 10 minutes with that ancestor. You may even want to prepare their favorite food. Just listen to what they're asking for. You want to sit. Play a little music, light your incense, your kopal, whatever makes you feel good. You want to sit and just sit and think about the beautiful things. Think about the memories, the positives, the things that laugh, the things that bring joy to you. Celebrate them in your mind and celebrate them in your heart. You want to do that. Do that for about 10, 15 minutes. Thanks. Of course, always observe candle safety all the time. Never leave your candle burning unattended. This is very important. I did this ritual one time and my candle exploded. So be careful. All right, so that's day 1, all right? Day 2, you want to get another book. This is not a big book, but let's pretend it's a thicker book, right? And you want to put that book on top and you want to do the same thing. So you're going to sit down, it's 8 p.m., we're going to talk, we're going to have a candle, we have our water, we have our plant and our photo, play our music, have our incense. We're doing our thing. We're sitting, we're recollecting, we're celebrating in our mind and our hearts. Day 3, third book, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Each book represents an elevation, a step. And those of you who have given birth to children or know about childbirth know there's 9 months of gestation. Same thing, the 9 nights, we go through that process. And each day, as you're elevating your ancestor, you're allowing them to helping them to be free, but you're also building that relationship. And it's also giving you joy and it's also feeding you. And it's also giving you comfort. One of the beautiful part about this ritual is that it brings you comfort. And if there is something that is out of alignment due to ungrieved processes, it's going to help you to feel better. It's going to help you to feel more at peace and more at ease. This is how the ritual serves both you and the person that you are supporting in that way. So 9 nights, 9 books, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. On the 9th night, you know that that's going to be your last. You can do something extra. You can dance around, play some music, play your drum, whatever it is that you want to do to celebrate the ending and the full transitioning and the closing out of that said relationship in the earth realm, right? And right at the beginning of a new relationship in the ancestral realm, if that makes any sense. I know that was a lot. And this is being recorded, so you'll have access to watch it a couple days after. Are there any questions about that?
I just came in. I'm so sorry. My apologies.
No worries,
I,
welcome.
I was a little confused. I thought the meeting started at 8 all of a sudden. So something told me, just check. And I'm still on the road. Sorry. So
That's
I just
okay.
missed the first half, but I guess I'll just replay it.
Okay, that's okay. Ebony, there is a meeting at 8 o'clock in the next 30 minutes for the retreat. I assume you're referring to that. This actual meeting is for we're talking about grief and healing through grief through ancestral wisdom.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
So yeah, you're on time.
So I am. Oh, so I'm early.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you feel free to hang out, or if you want to come back, it's up to you.
I'll just listen for now since I'm here.
All right. Well, thank you. Welcome again.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yaya, I have a question.
Yes.
About the candles. You said do not leave your candles burning or leave your candles burning.
Okay, so there's two options. I prefer to tell people not to leave their candles burning. It doesn't affect the effectiveness of the ritual at all. I just know how fire safety and sometimes these candles, from my personal experience, mine exploding and I just happen to catch it. For my experience, I say, once you're done, you can put them out. But if you have them and you want to keep them burning, this is what I would recommend you do. Get a bowl of water or a cup of water and place your candle inside of that water. Like, most likely you'll have like a pillar candle, or if you have a small candle like this one, you can put it like in a little bowl of water. That, in any case, if any flames spark out or anything like that, the water will catch it, right? And so depending on how you feel comfortable, I tell people you can put it out, but if you want to keep it burning, that's absolutely fine.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, let's see
Um,
here. Yes, Mama
um,
Sania.
And we want to extinguish the candle a certain way, right? We don't want to blow it out.
Right. So you don't want to blow out your candles. What you can do, sometimes they have this little bell-shaped apparatus that has like a long handle to it. And you can use that and kind of snuff it out. Sometimes I
Right.
dip my finger in some water and I'll use that to put it out. Or sometimes if the flame is not too hot, I can just pinch it out, right?
Okay.
Or you can get put a glass over it to take out the oxygen, and that will extinguish it as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank
You are
you.
welcome. Yes, yes, yes. But yes, you do not want to blow out your candle. So with your breath, that is. All right. Kiara says here, hey, if you have multiple people you would like to grieve, help transition, do you have to do separate 9 nights rituals for each of them, or could you do one for all of them? Yes, you can certainly do one for all of them if that's what you like to do. You can do like a community altar, a community ritual for several at one time and send everybody off at one time. You can definitely do that. Absolutely. And Natasha said, are tea candles okay? Yep, absolutely. Tea candles will work just fine. You can use pillar candles. I don't have one here. But if sometimes you get candles in different jars and things like that, you can use that. I will say use your candles for this. Let's say you're doing this work. I would recommend like you use that candle for that work and not use it for like something else, some other spiritual work. I don't know, something, let's say for abundance or something for yourself. Try to use that candle for that particular purpose. Now, if you have some candle wax left over on the 9th night, if you want to take your candle and maybe put outside on your patio where it's safe and it can't, catch fire, or you just want to just keep it burning while you're home, you can definitely continue to burn your candle, because I realize these candles don't go out at 9 at 9 days per se. So you can definitely continue to burn it. Just please, please, please observe candle safety, please. Any questions there?
Thank you.
Yes, you're
No.
welcome.
What? Sure, plant. No. Mhm.
Any question? Mom Sonia, did you have another question?
No, you answered it. Thank you. You answered it.
All right, all right. So just remember, one of the things I really want you all to remember is that anytime something ends, transitions, even if we're not cognizant of it ourselves, it doesn't register in our conscious mind. Subconsciously, your subconscious can register it. Grief can show up a lot of times when we see people with issues of the lungs. So asthma, pneumonia, just chronic issues of the lung, that is a sign that that there's internalized grief, unexpressed grief. There is a book I want you to consider getting. I tell all my students about it, and if you know me, I've shared this book with you before. Let me get it for you.
That was my
This
question. Mhm.
this book is called Knowing Ourselves by Joman Romero. Again, if you're taking any of my classes, y'all, Linda, you know about it. This is
I've
a
been in that
resource.
book so much the past couple weeks. It's so good.
Oh yeah. It is helpful. And I'm going to tell you why this is helpful, not just for grief, but if you have any, give me a second, okay? If you have any physical problems, ailments, cancer, endometriosis, constipation, blisters, anemia, you can look up in this book and it will tell you the emotional state that is associated with that illness. So things dealing with the lungs, you're always going to see grief and depression. You're always going to see it. Children born with asthma and breathing issues, there's a chances are their mother or the grandmother or someone close to them in the house is dealing with grief or depression. And this book, now I'm not a doctor, so that's my disclaimer, but I use this book so often to help myself, but also help my clients to understand what emotion is causing them, excuse me, causing their misalignment in their energy. Is it unresolved grief? Okay, we're going to see some things in the lungs, and then what we can do to help to fix that. Now, Linda, did you want to share anything about this book that's helped you in particular? And hey, Journey, our sweet baby.
I would love to, but she's not happy. So I'm gonna save it.
Oh, we want to hear it.
Yeah, we would love to hear
We
it.
want to hear it.
Well, really the biggest thing is just like I've been using it a lot. I'm a counselor out here, working for a private practice, and I have been bringing this in. Okay, I'll put it down. I have been utilizing this book a lot for my clients who are coming in dealing with grief, depression, anxiety, because those are the things that I see most often. And it's really providing a lot of insight for people in ways that they didn't think. I had a client recently who has struggled with alcoholism his whole life, and we were able to dig into this book and realize that a lot of it was tied to his relationship with his parents growing up. And that was like a huge turning point. So highly recommend. Very good book.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And yes, and again, I just want to remind you that sometimes, like Linda said about her childhood and her client, sometimes, sorry, y'all, I'm trying to get this ritual prepared for you so I can show it to you. It's smoking, so it's like in my eyes. Sometimes things are in the subconscious level. Sometimes things are on an ancestral level, things that maybe your mother wasn't able to grieve, but while she was carrying you, she was carrying this vibration. And you're wondering, man, why am I feeling this way? I haven't had this experience, but I feel this way. I know my mama feels this way, my grandmother, things so many generations back, so many cries, so many tears that could not have been cried because we had to keep going, because we had to be strong, because it wasn't socially acceptable as a male to show these emotions. So we press down, we press and press down. And that is, I mean, Linda, you can share like depression when we suppress emotions and we keep pressing it down, pressing it down, pressing it down. These things can come up and show itself as unresolved grief. So in using these rituals, I encourage you as part of your spiritual hygiene regimen, you want to make a list of the people, places, and things that are no more, that you have quote unquote lost. And we don't have to say, well, it don't have to be a person. It could be a relationship. It could be a dream, what you decided you wanted to be growing up, or the childhood, or the relationship with the mother you wish you had. It could be anything. Write it down, put it on the altar, and elevate it, and elevate it. One of the things that's very helpful as well in working through some of the anxiety and the need for comfort and for peace that comes along while we're grieving, we can do some spiritual cleansing work. Always, 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 always. And what I like to do, I like to work with copal. Now, copal comes from a tree. It's a resin that comes from a tree. And again, if you retreated with me, you already know I'm going to tell you about copal. It can come in an incense stick, or it can come in a resin that looks like this. And you will just break a piece off. It's like frankincense and myrrh, but it's a different type. You break a piece off, right? And you'll get you a piece of charcoal, a charcoal round. And you're going to heat up on the stove, a regular lighting of the charcoal like this. And you put this onto the charcoal. I can't really show you, but you can kind of, there you go. You can see the charcoal round, the circle, and you can see the copal there. And what that's going to do, it's going to provide you a cleansing smoke, right? As you can see, it gets fiery. And what you want to do, you want to cleanse yourself with the smoke from the crown of your head all the way down. Just imagine all the things that no longer serving you being removed. And as you're smelling the smoke and you're seeing the smoke, imagine that being the spirit of love and compassion cleansing you. I like to spend a lot of time, I'm a thinker, so I spend a lot of time in my head. So often I have to cleanse my head. And I go all the way down, and anything, if it's my heart that's hurting, or if it's like I feel like I can't breathe, I'm spending extra time. I'm spending extra time, like on my heart. I'm doing extra time here, and I'm giving myself love and allowing the smoke to bring in healing and cleansing. This you can do anytime. Anytime you feel a heaviness, every time you feel fear, anxiety, or the road gets a little difficult, you can always go to this. Now, this is a plumera. These are just feathers, but you can use a piece of paper, a cardboard, a piece of book, whatever you got, as long as you can use it to move the cleansing smoke around you. If you have children and your children are going through a similar process, or maybe they're having some challenges at school, or sometimes if it's in a situation where the child is like spiritually gifted, they may have very active dreams or nightmares and things like that. You can do the same process for them to keep their aura and their energy clean and help them to be grounded. These are some things that are very, very, very important, family. So again, copal, you can get an incense stick, try to get as clean as you can, not the hem stuff. That hem incense is trash. You want to use copal. If you can't get the resin, get the resin itself. And you want to be able to cleanse your body, your children, your pets, your house, your space. And this is going to raise the vibration in your household so that you can feel healing, you can feel compassion, you can feel grace for yourself. And it also creates environments where more benevolent and high vibrational energies can come and dwell in where you're living. I'm an active dreamer, and sometimes my dream state feels a little off kilter. I will make sure I copal my bedroom, do my pillows, do around my doors and my windows. The doors and windows are portals. It's where energy enters in and leaves out. So if you're doing any type of cleansing, especially of your home, you want to make sure you pay close attention to your doors and your windows. Okay. I see a question here in the chat. Natasha J. She said, what about lost connection with higher self? How would that type of ritual be done? Natasha, could you clarify when you say lost connection with your higher self, or just so I'm clear, I can give you a better explanation. I'll be happy to do that.
Yes, sorry. Hi. So yes, for like, could I do like 9 nights, for something like that? Like if I like just feel disconnected from like, just like from your purpose, if that makes sense?
Good question. Yes, you can. That is a beautiful question. To reconnect back to your higher self. The only difference I would add to this, Natasha, is to add a piece of your DNA to this,
Mm.
right? Because you want to connect back to yourself. So, another part I would add to this is to call when you're sitting in meditation. You may add a picture of you when you were a child, right? That's when we're most connected to our highest self as
Mm.
children, right? So you
Yes.
may put yourself on the altar and you say, I'm going to elevate myself with the intention of getting to be reconnected with myself. So yes, I would add a piece of DNA. Your fingernail clipping will be fine. Hair, saliva works. If you really want to get down to it, use a little blood if you want to. Whatever
Okay.
feels good for you. Add that to your candle. Add that to your candle. And then
Okay.
when you're sitting at your altar or the space that you have consecrated, you want to call on your oversoul or highest self, however you want to call it. You want to call on your
Okay.
overself to be reconnected. The facts are you already are connected. That's just a fact. You just want to become more conscious of the connection.
I see.
That makes
Okay.
we're all connected. But life, stress, trauma, culturalization, colonization, all these things have watered down all of our connection, and we're all just on a journey of trying to get back to that space. But you're already connected, but you can enliven that relationship through something like this.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome. Are there any other questions?
I have a question, Yaya.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't know how to type it in, so
Oh, okay.
I'll just ask you. You mentioned that the doors and windows are portals, so when we're doing our ritual and you were talking about cleansing the area, could you go over that again about the doors and the windows and your
Sure.
room are portals?
Sure. So part of the spiritual hygiene program that I always talk about, of course, cleansing of ourselves is always first and foremost. But a lot of times we may need to cleanse the area, especially if we're living with other people that come in different energies. I recommend cleansing your home minimum once a week, minimum, like you would maybe do something like your Sunday cleaning regimen, right? And so what you would do would be taking your copal or your incense, or if you're using something else, that's up to you. You want to go around the perimeter of the inside of your house, perimeter. So let's say you come into your front door and just walk around with your copal, saying a prayer. A lot of people like to say like Psalms 91, or they just like to chant a song or whatever it is that makes them feel good. They'll do something like that. And you want to go around the perimeter of each room in your house, including your bathroom,
Okay,
paying
okay,
special attention around the windows and doors. So if there is a door right here, let's pretend my screen is a door or window, I will make a square,
okay,
right?
understood.
The door, I would do the same thing. And so what that is doing is also is cleansing the portals, so nothing of low vibration can enter in, right? But it's also sealing and putting protection as well.
Oh, okay, thank you. Question.
Yes.
You know, the shaman mentioned that we should not have mirrors in our bedroom. Does it have something to do with the portals?
A lot of people say that. A lot of people say that you shouldn't have it for that same reason, because the portals of my tradition is a little different. His tradition is different, but
Okay,
yes, he definitely
you know,
has
just,
he said that. So
okay,
some people believe
yeah,
in that, and some people, yeah, it's whatever resonates with you.
okay. Well, my main question was about the portals and the cleansing, so thank you.
Yes,
So once a
absolutely.
week,
Once a week minimum. Yeah, especially if you have
minimum.
children or a lot of people are in and out. Every time you go outside of your home, you bring in subconsciously stuff from the outside, influence, things that you take in through your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, your senses, whether you're aware of it or not, you're bringing it inside of your home. And your home is indeed your paradise. It is indeed the place where you spend most of your time. So keeping your home, your external environment, internal environment as pristine as possible definitely helps in any type of healing work, especially grief,
Okay,
but it's
thank you.
definitely helpful. Mm-hmm.
Um, thank you.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I do want to share while we have a few moments. Y'all, give me 1 second to plug in my laptop. 1 second here.
All right, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Rituals.
Thank you so much. I do want to share a few things, herbs that you can take during a time of grief that can help your body Because sometimes our body needs help being regulated, our nervous system needs help being regulated, and we have some herbal allies that can help us. Excuse me. Now, these are no way a silver bullet for taking away the sadness or the emotions that we have. We want to be able to feel them because those two are teachers in our tradition. What is this emotion teaching me? What is it reflecting back to me? So we don't necessarily want to get rid of, we want to learn to take the medicine and the lesson that they're sharing with us, right? So some herbs that I found are really great supporters and people herbs that you may want to journey with are going to be rose is a great one. That's ROSE. And if Kiara, if you can put these in the chat, that way everyone can see the herbs that we're going to talk about. Rose can be used as a tea. It can even be placed on your altar. This is a great and very supportive herb that works great for the heart. Another one we have, let's see here, we have is called motherwort. That's motherwort. Let me see here. Rose, you have motherwort. That's great for our heart healing as well. Hawthorn is amazing for strengthening the heart chakra, especially dealing with grief. Ooh, rose, motherwort, and hawthorn, definitely. And you feel it right away. Like these herbs you take, you feel them right away. These can be taken as a single, or do your research, or you can combine them. But they're all great for heart, grief, sadness, and really strengthening the heart energy. We have oat straw. Oat straw is really great for when there's presence of maybe some depression. Now, again, I'm not saying that these things are going to be the silver bullet. For some people, it's really going to work. Some people have to do some other things. But oat straw really helps to ease, especially this time of the year too, when there's less sunlight, et cetera, et cetera. Oat straw really helps with mood and stabilizing mood so we can function. One in Jamaica that we call, it's called Jamaican Search My Heart. I don't know if you heard of this one, but this is really, really good for grief. And I'll put this in the chat. And if you look at Search My Heart, it's kind of like fuzzy. It's kind of like velvety. You touch it, it feels like, oof. And when you drink it, it really helps to open the heart. While it's opening the heart, it's actually opening the heart at the same time. It's called Jamaican Search My Heart. Then we have mimosa. Mimosa is wonderful for like deep, deep sadness. Just like, you know what, I don't, In fact, mimosa is used in some of the ayahuascas. One of the compounds of ayahuasca is the root of the mimosa is an active component in ayahuasca. And so mimosa is traditionally used in indigenous healing for times of sadness and grief to help to be an ally. And it would be the leaf and the bark part of the mimosa, the bark and the leaf, mainly the bark. Okay. And we have Damiana. Damiana is, oh, thank you, Kiara. Damiana is wonderful, 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 wonderful for boosting mood. It also is an aphrodisiac. So if you find out that the sex department is a little dwindling, Damiana could be your ally in that, and also in boosting mood and helping with anxiety. Mimosa is great for anxiety, so is oat straw. Okay. Let's see here. If you really want to have some fun, you can pop in some blue lotus. That's blue lotus flower. That's really great for soothing and calming the nervous system and has a great grounding component to it as well. Blue lotus. I find blue lotus is great as a smokable herb, but it's also wonderful as a tea. But to me, it is excellent as a tincture. Excelente. Blue lotus. Last but not least, I have a couple of here, but I don't want to inundate because I'm going to leave some time for Q&A. Last but not least, I will say skullcap. Skullcap is listen, even if you're not dealing with grief, you want some skullcap. This is what skullcap does. It is a grounding herb. So when the winds of life feels like this, and the tree is bending and the winds are blowing, what skullcap does, it says, it grounds you. So while you're bending and you're blowing and the leaves are just shaking off your tree, and you're like, oh my God, I just can't take no more. I'm just overwhelmed. You get with that skullcap either as a tea or a tincture, You take it and you will feel the groundedness in your mind. Although the wind is still blowing, you're grounded. Skullcap is an excellent, excellent herb for that. Now, I encourage you to do your research. I encourage you to see what resonates with you, try different herbs and, check for herbal safety if you're taking medication, and see if you're contraindicated for anything, like if you're nursing or pregnant, all of those things. Always check, check, check. But these are some herbs I highly recommend that you investigate and invest in for your well-being. They are going to help you. And don't feel no way if you feel like you have to take these herbs for a year, 2 years. Remember, there's no timeline. No time on agree, but these are some helping allies so that we can continue to move through the process of grief and love, grace, and ease. Now, I know this was a lot of information. I just wanted to touch bases with you all going through a season of grief, provide some things that you can do, some remedies that you can tap into that can really support you. And so if you have any questions, I'd like to leave the floor open for the next 5 minutes to answer any last minute questions. Just as FYI, we are doing a membership that's starting on the 15th, where I'll go in more details about how to do these rituals, how step by step by step. But this is just an offer I wanted to give to the community to kind of get you on your way and to provide some other resources as you're on your journey of healing, or I should say passing through grief. Are there any questions? Any thoughts?
This was right on time. I really needed this, so I just want to express my gratitude for you always sharing with us and bringing this wisdom, because I really needed this. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, let's take a few moments to, wherever we are, just ground ourselves. I'm going to share a song with you, and all I ask for you just to relax, listen to the rhythm, the melody of the song, and just let it minister to you, whatever it needs to minister to you. You don't have to know the words. And let's just spend some time and just listening to some music. If you want to get up and dance, that's what I'm gonna do. Get up and dance and move the energy through your body. That's also a very healing medicine as well. So let's spend a few moments with some music, and let me know if you can hear my sound. Okay, it's there. Awesome.
Thank you, Yaya. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let us just relax, listen, and how the music. Thank you so much. I just want to
Beautiful.
remind you, thank you, thank you. I just want to remind you all that as you continue to care for your well-being, your spiritual, your emotional, your physical well-being, using ritual in general, we're just talking about grief, but there's ritual can be used for all aspects of your life. You will find that your life will improve. You have greater joy, greater health, greater abundance, greater prosperity as you start to implement rituals. And ritual just means things that you do regularly, right? Brushing our teeth, combing our hair, all that good stuff. Ritual is the way to go, as we as Indigenous people have always used to help us to ease our way through life. So I encourage you all, use these rituals and develop ones for yourself that's going to serve you. And on that note, if there are no other questions, I want to thank you all for your time. Wish you all a wonderful evening. Those who are here, Darlene and Ebony, Nyara, I want to see you on the next 4 minutes or our next our next group. So thank you all so much. This recording will be available. I'm going to repost it for about 3 days. If you want to download it or whatever, you have the opportunity to do that. Okay.
Thank you. Would love to. Will do.
All right, y'all. Thank you.
All
Love you.
righty.
See you
Thank
later.
you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
See you
Deepen.
everyone.
later.
Thank you.
See you soon. I have a
Yeah.
whole lot of questions.
Careful.
I have some questions.
Well, Mama Cynthia, we're still here. I'm going to hang out here because the next group is coming in for the orientation.
Really? Is that in an hour or now?
No,
In a
it's
minute?
now in 3 minutes. In 3 minutes, but there's no pressure for you to do anything.
Okay, good. Hi, Makai. Hi,
Come on,
Makai.
Queen.
Okay, I have a question. I guess I need a consultation, but I have a quick question. Was, okay, so who can watch this presentation that you just gave? Is that for anyone to see?
Yeah, it is also going to be a part of Mama Cynthia. It's also going to be part of the membership, and I'm going to be showing the steps, like the ritual, in more detail. The membership that we're opening
Right.
up. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
if
mean,
you
like
wanted to share with
like
somebody,
Mahasan, no, like Mahasan wasn't on the call, but I guess she'll probably watch the replay. Anyway.
oh, okay, yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, here's my question. Say
Yes,
that
ma'am.
somebody just tuned into your page for the first time. They never heard of you. They don't know anything. And they asked you, well, what is spiritual hygiene and how do I find out about it and how can I get started? Is there a book that you would recommend? I mean, other than signing up with you. But
That's a good
I'm just saying,
question. Let me research that, Mama Cynthia. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Let me research for a book. I
okay,
haven't seen any book on spiritual hygiene practices, but I'm gonna make a note. I'm gonna do that.
make a note and that could be your next book.
It could be because God knows I got plenty of them to write.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I
Uh,
would love that. Thank you so much for all the information, especially about the cleansing, the aura, cleansing your space and
yes, ma'am.
everything. Oh my, everything. I got
Yeah.
another new lease on life. I have so much to do. You know, I feel
Yes,
after
ma'am.
your presentation, I have work to do.
Oh, yeah. Yes, Mama Cynthia, we
You
all
know.
do actually.